Hey everybody, it's Mandy here in the sewing room. I'm acting as videographer and sewer and production master, so if there's any wiggles in the camera, I apologize. I've got some tools I want to show you that I think will be really helpful for you when you're sewing on your binding. So here you can see that I'm just about ready to sew on some binding. And I do have a 1/4 inch foot here, which I can run along the edge of my quilt. But as one of my customers pointed out, sewing a 3/8 or just a little under 3/8 on that line here actually gives you a nicer fold over when you are attaching your binding by machine. You can see here I have a really nice little tool. It screws into the machine. This will fit. This is a universal tool. It'll fit on many machines. I bet you if you go look at your sewing machine, you're going to have a couple screw holes right here. This $4.95 tool will help you to keep your quilting or your stitching very, very straight. And as you can see, there's no wobbles as I go along here because I can push this right up to the edge of that quilting tool, and it keeps everything nice and straight so that when I'm attaching binding, that it stays nice and straight, and then I can flip it over really easily. I don't have any wobbly edges. You'll see I'm using a glove here. This is also really helpful when you have a large quilt that's covering this area all over here and it's kind of heavy and it slips around a little bit. A quilting glove is really good. You can get them at sewing machine stores, but I recommend you go to a gardening store or go to your local hardware store and get yourself a gardening glove. They have the same sticky bottoms on them and they're a heck of a lot cheaper. Another thing I have here is called a Wonder Clip. Now I'll show you where that actually sits. I use these Wonder Clips when I finally flip my binding over and I'm attaching it, and you'll see it in another video. They'll be there. I use these clips and then I pull them off as I'm sewing my binding off. I have a really cool foot that I use. This is got one leg longer than the other. You can see that here it's higher up than over here. And that is, I'll show you in another video as well. That is so that it rides along the edge of the binding. And of course the binding's thicker than where there is no binding. So it helps to keep your stitching down your binding nice and straight. You can see that beside my machine, I also have a cutting mat. And the cutting mat works really nicely if I'm trying to do any trimming. I've got anything I need to cut. I've got it right here, and then I just use my sorry about that, my cutting tool right here and can cut through right here on this little cutting mat. Now these cutting mats can be very expensive. If you go to Princess Auto, they're $2.49, so check those out. Finally, I have my binding tool. It's actually a special tool that you use to help bind the edge of your quilt. So once you've gone around your whole quilt, you come to the end, and of course you've got to join these last two pieces. And there's directions right on the ruler on exactly how to do it so that you can have a nice bias join anytime you're putting your binding on before you flip it over to either hand sew it or machine stitch it down. Anyway, those are some of the things that I use when I'm doing my binding. I think this tool is my favorite one right here. And like I said, it's the most reasonably priced tool there is. And you can pick them up at Sewing Machine Parts online. If you go to the resources center of my website, there's a link there and you can click through and find these. Actually, you can find it for any machine. There's all kinds of feet for different machines and stuff on that site. That's it for tools today.